View, but we have another elite level race coming up, the Princess Royal Challenge Cup for women's single sculls. You can see there Cicely Madden against Ruqi Liu. Cicely Madden from the States, Ruqi Liu from China, and I have got none other than Dame Catherine Granger from Great Britain, or should I say Scotland, here in the box with me. A great privilege and a pleasure to have you along, Kath.
It's very special to be next to you, Martin, so for some more fabulous racing.
Yeah, definitely. So, these two women off the start. Ruqi Liu on the right of your picture, Cicely Madden on the left. Madden is from Cambridge Rowing Club in Boston, right on the final bend of the Charles River course, if you've ever done the head of the Charles. And Ruqi Liu is from the Shanghai Jiatong University. She studied international relations there. Been to Shanghai, it's just right on the Hongpu River, and we'll talk a bit more about these scullers as they go down the course. I'm thinking you haven't ever won this event, Kath, and that's probably one of the only events that you haven't won.
I haven't won it because I've never entered it. I've never been brave enough to get to the start line.
You can still do it. It's not too late, and I know you're doing the head of the Charles.
Good point. I've not done this event yet, but no, and it's wonderful to watch because we always talk about the difference in the single sculling event. It's such a brilliant individual test of skill and tactic, and especially one-on-one match racing. It's just, you know, you and your decision making against the opposition, and we see it's so exposing in a brilliant way. We really find out what these scullers are about.
And we're seeing this Buckinghamshire station, you know, some would say maybe the less favoured, but it's ahead again, which is a fantastic job from the Chinese sculler Ruqi Liu. I was chatting with a coach, Yimin Yong, just before the race, and he's the dedicated coach from Jiatong University in Shanghai. I kind of said, you know, what's she like? What's her personality? She said, oh, she's very introvert. Doesn't say a lot, but, you know, those quiet ones, they don't say a lot, but they let the sculling on the water do the talking.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You don't have to worry about the crew around you. You don't have to worry about a cox. It's just you and your boat and your coach and that amazing relationship. And when it works, it really works.
So we talked a bit about the Chinese. On the far side, we have got Cicely Madden from Cambridge Boat Club. She is a lifelong rowing junkie. I was talking to Greg Stone, who's her club mate, earlier this morning. Of course, Ginevra Stone was one of the crewmates of Cicely in the 2019 Worlds. And Greg said, you know, Cicely just loves rowing. She's been around rowing all her life. She kind of, you know, continues to want to do it. She's 29 years of age. She tried for Paris, got beaten by Cara Cola in the US trials, but she's still hanging on in there. She's in the final of the Princess Royal. Two Americans won it in the past, Michelle Gouret and Cara Cola. Could she be the third? At the moment, she's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, at the moment it's looking like she'd have to do quite a move to move back up on the Chinese sculler. But it's a long race, and obviously particularly long in these tricky conditions and in single sculls. So there's time, but the hard thing is that when the American drops back to that margin, there's a sense you're beginning to lose the feel of the puddles next to you. You're losing the wash from the boat, and you realise that that's when you either need to decide if you're going to do something dramatic to pull back on the opposition, or what you're doing is enough to hold you where you want to be.
So you were a bit down, weren't you? I remember in 2009, you were in the single in the final of the World Championships in Poznan, and you decided to make your move, didn't you? I mean, what was going through your head then when you made that move?
I mean, it's like we're watching these two brilliant women now. There's the race plan they'll have, and you have it sort of laid out in your mind, discussed with your coach, you put it through lots of practice and experience, and then there's that moment of instinctual racing, of when you make the move, when you feel the opposition shift or change, if the conditions change. When I raced back in Poznan many years ago now, the conditions were really quite dramatic as well. So again, the conditions can play into these two scullers, and some might cope better or worse with gusts of winds that are coming across, and that's when you need to sort of pounce. And the joy of the single scull is you don't need to communicate with anyone else in the boat. You can just decide and act instantly.
Yeah, and if you're wondering where Catherine Granger finished in that championships, it was a silver medal behind the double Olympic champion Katarina Karsten. So we see the Chinese sculler. I just wonder, we saw her row over yesterday. Julianne Farlish, the German, withdrew. We're still not sure why, and we hope, Julianne, if you're watching this, you're okay. How much difference will that make, the fact that the Chinese sculler pretty much had a day off yesterday, and Cicely Madden had to race to get into this final?
The route to the finals are always interesting. They do play a part because it's like we say, it's a long, sort of tough, intense course. If you have close racings, you have to race the whole length of that course, and actually day after day over the 6-day regatta, it starts to accumulate, and by the end you really feel it in your legs. But if you can have the odd day in those 6 days that's an easier race or a rover, then actually it's almost a recovery road, and you can try things out. You can try technique, you can try parts of the race you want to try.
Johnny Scullers, she's really long out the front there. She's kind of, it likes a little bit slightly heavier gearing. She's not too high on the rating, but she's moving that boat a lot per stroke.
I think that's the thing with the single scull as well. You can set the boat up exactly how it suits that individual athlete. So whether you're long and rangy or short and maybe higher rate, you can actually technically set it up so it suits your style.
Yeah, her coach, Yin Min Young, kind of said that Ricky Liu is one of the women in the frame for the 28 Olympics in Los Angeles, but she has World Championship experience in the single. She finished 14th back in the 2023 Worlds, and I think we said in commentary she had a really decent race in World Cup 2 against the likes of Alex Foster of Germany, Tara Rigney from Australia, and Cara Kohler. She just finished behind Kohler. So what has this woman got to do at this stage of the race, Catherine?
Well, she's doing a good job. First of all, she's got a really nice line. We've seen some of the crews, and Cox crews as well this morning, struggle with the conditions and whether it's the stream or the wind, sort of be blown in and have to adjust correction for the steering quite a lot. I think we've got the two athletes are going straight down the course as we see it. That takes away some of the pressure and some of the intensity. But it's hard to know until you know, if you're in that seat, you know how your legs are feeling, you know how your body's coped with this week, whether you can, just mount an unexpected challenge. You get a quick glance across, there's this moment of just how far do I have to make up and when do I move? When do I actually raise that, whether it's the rate or the intensity, which is always expensive, but to just close that margin.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things is the power between the two scullers. I would guess Ricky Liu is the more powerful of these two women, and Cicely Madden perhaps not quite as strong on the erg, not quite as powerful, and in this headwind conditions, all things being equal, I guess that makes a difference.
It does, and when the conditions will make the boats sometimes feel quite heavy. And as you say, the Chinese sculler is a reasonably low rate for this level of racing. But when you're that efficient with the boat, when you're moving at that distance every stroke, it's really working for her.
And of course, you have memories of racing Chinese scullers, albeit not in the single, but in the quadruple scull, and they obviously have a great program and bring through women that can really compete at the highest level. Yeah,
we've seen really top standard, both singles, doubles and quads across many years now. So the Chinese sort of sculling group is very strong back in China, and we don't always see them at the big international events. They often pick and choose where they want to come out and race. So it's really great to see Liu here and putting on quite the show.
Yeah, and I guess the Chinese team might be watching the Chinese women's quad, one of the favourites to try and stop Britain winning the gold medal, and the Netherlands, of course, are in there for a shout. Chen Yunsha, Zhong Yang, Lu Yong and Xia Tong will be heading to Paris to race for that Olympic gold medal in the women's quads. Of course, they are the reigning Olympic champions, the Chinese, and we will have a new name, it looks like, on the Princess Royal Challenge Cup.
It does. We've got Madden taking up the rate now. You can see that her hands are moving, her legs are responding. The boat speed is hopefully lifting along with that rate. She can hear the crowds, and you can really get that sense, especially in a single. It's so quiet. You get that lift of the crowds, and she'll want to close that gap to make as tight a margin as possible for the results board.
So Ricky Liu, the 24-year-old international relations student from the Shanghai Jiaotong University, has had a very comfortable scull. I know you've been working really hard, Ricky, but it looks comfortable at least. But congratulations to you, a fantastic win. You will take the Princess Royal Challenge Cup. A lot of Olympic champions on the list of that palmarès, and Cicely Madden comes across, the likes of Emma Twigg, Romania Nakova, Ekaterina Karsten, Natkova, Tila, Ruchjau Stomperovsky. They're all Olympic champions, and now Ricky Liu's name is added to that list.